with a big gay man.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the HP podcast. I'm Ben, and this is episode number 355. I'm just going to let everybody, if you're here at the beginning of this show, I'm just going to let everybody imagine what Brandon was talking about right before we started this. I'm just going to leave it up there. This is the HP podcast. I'm here with the beautiful boys. Brandon, they've already heard from you, but let's start with you.
What's up, fellas?
How's it going, dude?
Just dandy.
What are you chomping on over there?
Amazon Basics multivitamins.
Oh, it sounded like you had your chompers into like some granola or something for a minute there.
No, it's just like a multivitamin. See?
Were you chewing them?
Yeah, they're fucking gummies, dude. Do you swallow them whole?
I can't see them. It sounded like they were hard. Why would the gummies be?
I don't know, bro. I don't ask these questions. Ask Geoff. Ask Jeff Bezos, not me.
Do you think Jeff Bezos even knows like half of what the Amazon Basics line is?
Or what a multivitamin is? He just gets it like directly pumped into his veins.
He gets infused with the blood of young men.
True. Hydrochlorochrome or whatever they call that. Pizzagate.
Yeah. He's in on it for sure.
Yeah, I'm doing okay tonight, boys. I made myself dinner, and have you all ever made dinner and you do too much and it fucks it up real bad? You're like, I'm gonna add some extra shit to this, or I'm gonna take the extra step, and you do something that you think is good or that you've seen online or that you've heard will work, and then it actually just completely botches the whole experience.
Yeah, definitely done that.
I did that today. I did that today. So
I don't think there is such a thing as too much butter, to be fair.
There is. I've learned the hard way. What did you do, though, Brandon?
So I made a very simple dish, and I still somehow managed to fuck it up. So I got rice noodles, very thin, very dainty, right? And I watch a lot of like ramen videos, a lot of street food videos, and I saw that in ramen videos, with certain things, they'll like boil the noodles, and then they'll cool them down very fast to make sure they stop cooking most of the way. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to do that so that way my noodles aren't like soggy. But what they usually do after they cool them down is they then put them in broth so they actually reheat up again. So instead, I just had very weirdly cold, disgusting rice noodles with 4 fried eggs in like some teriyaki sauce and some truffle hot sauce. I don't rightly know what was so wrong about it. The flavor itself was fine, but the mouthfeel and the room temperatureness of the noodles really was repulsive. It truly was repulsive. I couldn't stomach it. I threw about half of it away.
You couldn't just microwave it? Like that usually fixes a lot of stuff.
You know what? It hadn't even crossed my mind. I was so disgusted with the attempt that I thought, with all the sauces and the eggs in here, I thought microwave will do the job of heating it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that will be able to salvage this meal.
Yeah.
And so I just cut my losses. I ate about half of it. To be fair, it was a very large portion. I probably should have split it into 2 anyway. I probably would have had leftovers either way. But yeah, we just called it quits. We just called it quits on that, and I'm never making that mistake again.
See, I know. And you mentioned mouthfeel there, and if the mouthfeel is off, the appetite's gone, and that's different from texture, right? It's similar, but it's
right.
A different thing, and I know exactly what you're talking about, especially with something like noodles. You're expecting one thing, hits your mouth, completely different. All bets off.
It was truly repulsive in a way that I can't quite describe.
Mm-hmm.
I can make it for y'all sometime if you want. If you're interested.
Yeah, sounds great. Come on over.
But no, yeah. So I had a bit of a fail. I've been known to do that at a time or two, where you try and go the extra mile, and sometimes you should have went half a mile. So
it's interesting when you talk about cooking, and I mean, obviously, I know people invest a lot into their meals, but when I'm not cooking for other people, the extent of how far I'll go is like maybe I'll add a couple spices or something to something I'm making, but generally it's just like whatever this is, I'm eating it. I don't put stuff with it. I don't know if I'm a lazy cook or if that's a good thing that like I don't need a bunch of stuff in there. in order to be happy. Now, if I were cooking for other people, it's a little different. I'm really good at cooking meat, but that doesn't require a lot other than like temperatures. So it's not that big of a deal. But generally, I guess the definition would be I'm a pretty lazy cook.
Mm.
in
Yeah,
general.
I managed to fuck up like something that had a total of 2 ingredients. Well, 2 whole ingredients, not including the sauce.
Yeah.
Uh, I'd like to think my cooking prowess is usually a little bit better than this. Really, I think the experimental aspect of washing the noodles in cold water really was my downfall. I could have even pan-seared them after that, and it would have been completely fine.
Yeah.
Not everything you see on YouTube is good.
That's true in a number of different areas, not just in cooking.
Except for the show.
No,
If you see this on YouTube,
it's debatable, even.
anyone in the audience can wash me in cold water if they want.
Dave, have you had any cooking experiments gone wrong lately?
Lately, no, not that I can think of. My wife does most of the cooking. Not that I'm not confident in the kitchen, but she's just kind of, she does her thing, and
You
I
make
do the
her.
cleaning up. I do the washing. No, she's just,
you force her to cook for you, is what you're saying.
she's the superior cook, and I think she prefers. She doesn't. So when we first moved in together, what she learned about me is, I make a lot of stir fry. Just because you can do anything with a stir fry, right? And I have zero imagination when it comes to cooking. I open the fridge and I just like completely draw a blank. Give me a recipe and I can craft something expertly.
Dad, why are we having Pop-Tarts again tonight?
Exactly. It's funny though, you guys were talking about what you were cooking, and I think about you guys, the Butler boys, and I just think of Pop-Tarts. So it's refreshing to hear Brandon especially talk about, experimenting with stuff. So.
Dave, I would say that of the last, let's call it 5 times I've had Pop-Tarts, I've been with you 4 of them.
Okay.
So
I love that. I love that though.
yeah.
Go to. You don't.
Yeah, they're a great.
Just eat them right out the bag, right?
Oh well, I mean, we can, but I mean, if you have the time to put them in the toaster or the microwave oven, that enhances them. But they're fine right out of the little. I don't know what the fake aluminum bag that they come in.
See, when I was younger, we never toasted them. They are better toasted.
Yeah.
But it's almost like a nostalgic thing for me at this point because I don't know why. We had a toaster. We just never did that when we were younger. We just ate them straight out the tin.
I think it all depends on the circumstance, right? Like if you're they're a convenience meal or whatever you want to call it. If you're just running out the door and you're grabbing something to eat on the way to school, then you just grab a thing of Pop-Tarts and head out.
Right.
But if you're like, you got to sit down with the fine china, put them in the toaster, make sure they're prepared to the appropriate temperature, which is scalding your mouth.
Yeah.
That's all good to go from there.
They've gotten thinner though, right? Shrinkflation has hit.
I have no idea, Dave.
It has to have.
I haven't had Pop-Tarts in forever, so.
I went like 10 years without eating them. And when I had one again after several years, I was like, I remember a lot more filling. Maybe it was just because I was a kid, but I was really surprised at how small they'd gotten.
Since this is a podcast about Pop-Tarts, what are your guys' go-to Pop-Tart flavors if you're going to indulge?
I'm a big brown sugar cinnamon guy.
Yep.
I feel like that's like your standard. Like everything else, the quality of a Pop-Tart can be based off of the baseline, which is a brown sugar cinnamon.
Yeah. Also, they're healthier, so
yeah, because cinnamon's almost like it's like from the earth, right? And so it's practically a vegetable.
I genuinely heard a mom. So I was inside of Brandon. What's that? Sharp Shopper.
Sharp Shopper.
It's like a discount grocery store. It's not. It is discount, but it's like overflow from other stores or stuff that's maybe like a week from being expired. They'll send it there if they have bulk of something or whatever. And there was like just a whole aisle of Pop-Tarts. And I was in there. I don't remember what I was picking up, but it wasn't Pop-Tarts. And I heard this little kid saying he wanted like, I don't know if it was a birthday cake or something like that. And a mom with a straight face, I don't know if she believed it or not, but with a straight face told the kid, "We get the brown sugar or the strawberry because they're healthier options." And like maybe they have less
Strawberry has fruit in
calories.
it, right?
Yeah, maybe there's actually like by the numbers healthier. But if you're already eating Pop-Tarts, just eat the ones you want to eat.
Wild berry is delicious, though. Wild berry is probably the best looking Pop Tart visually. It's stunning. And taste wise is a delightful taste sensation. It almost feels like an exotic bunch of the Pop Tart family.
Yeah.
Um,
Dave, what about you? What are your go-to flavors of
Just
Pop-Tarts?
Old Faithful, the one with the white frosting and the strawberry filling inside. I assume that
Strawberry's
was the
good.
original.
Strawberry is good.
I
I think
actually
brown sugar cinnamon was the original, wasn't it?
actively dislike the chocolate ones, though. They just taste weird to me. You know,
Yeah, they're not. They're not great.
the marshmallow. Ugh.
The s'mores
I've never
ones,
had-
the s'mores ones. Yeah.
I've never had a Pop-Tart that I didn't like, but I do like, the Old Faithful standby strawberry, brown sugar cinnamon. I do like the chocolate or the s'mores ones, and part of that's because I don't have them very often. So why not go wild? And then, but Brandon, I like the berry ones, but of all the, if you put out all the Pop-Tart flavors in front of me and said pick one, the last one I would probably pick of the ones I know about is probably the mixed berry one. No.
You,
Let's
sir,
look
are a rube.
at let's look at the chat. Derek says, "I love cooking. I hate planning meals and grocery shopping. It's a problem."
That's me.
Yeah,
I'm with him there.
yeah. Ash says, "Vegetable Pop-Tarts are the best Pop-Tarts." Ash says, "This is my favorite gaming podcast." Yes. Tom says, "The intro is the best part, or the best gaming content," and also says, "Don't think we have sugar or cinnamon here. Bring us into your empire." If I remember correctly, Tom is in the UK.
Oh, no way.
So,
It's probably banned there. It's probably too heavily processed.
yeah.
Too many microplastics.
I think, if I'm correct about you being in the UK, maybe you should look up your country's history and realize that, like, the whole bringing other people into your empire thing doesn't always work out in the long term.
All
Ash
this
says,
to get spices, and we still season with water. In the
well,
British Empire and the colonies.
yeah. Dave, I couldn't help but notice whenever I said they were in the UK, you said, "Oh, no way," as if it was like, "Oh, they're right down the street from me." But just because you live in Canada and you're owned by England doesn't mean you're like
We're
neighbors.
brethren. Yeah, no, we're closer, spiritually than I am with you.
I think by mileage, I might be closer to them
No,
than you are.
King and country, and that includes Canadians. So suck it.
I don't want any part of it anyway.
If there's one thing that America has ever done wrong, it's not making sure that every country could have all the same Pop-Tart flavors. Like that's probably the one thing I could really point out.
I think they would if they could. They would love to sell to everybody, but other countries just acknowledge that it's probably poison. So,
Yeah, but like there are smugglers and stuff. Like,
dude, the Patrick Swayze Express will just fucking take it over the border.
who makes Pop-Tarts?
Probably
Kellogg,
Kellogg's.
Is it Kellogg?
Yeah, probably it's like one of the three
Procter and Gamble, or
the
something
three
like
companies
that.
that makes
Procter.
everything.
Yeah, they should have figured it out. Like I understand maybe in its current form, it doesn't meet the health standards. We don't really care about that here. But you should have lied on the packaging or something in order to get it into the country.
I think that's illegal.
Yeah. But like think about all the good it would have brought the good people of England to have s'mores Pop-Tarts.
They need any bit of flavor they can get over there. Wildberry would send a small English boy into a fucking coma, I think.
I think in the UK, I think when I was last in the UK, they had baked beans Pop-Tarts.
Ugh,
So, hey,
I'm glad we left.
I'd try it. Fuck
I'm,
that.
I'm so glad we left.
that's a joke. But I did see a very convincing Twitter account one time that was just like all sorts of flavors of Pop-Tarts. and it was just like AI images or fake photoshopped images, whatever. And one of them was toothpaste flavored Pop Tarts.
Mushy peas and mash Pop-Tarts.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Well, this is the HP podcast. We talk about Pop Tarts, all breakfast foods, really, depending on the week you catch us on, and sometimes video games. We appreciate everybody who is here at the moment. We go live on YouTube every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. We're also available on free audio feeds, as well as Patreon audio feeds. If you want to help support us, you can go over to patreon.com/handsomephantom and sign up for as little as $1 a month. If you don't want to, you're welcome to just listen a day later with maybe an ad or two sprinkled in there. That's fine. We're happy you're here for the ride. If you want to hang out with us, you can do so on Discord at handsomephantom.com/Discord. It's the Wild West in there right now. Did you notice there's one guy, Compulsive Nerd? I've met them, and great person. But sometimes he'll just come into the Discord and be like, just type like a paragraph about something, and you're like, what are you talking about? I don't think he listens to the show. I think he just hangs out in the Discord.
That's okay. That's what's there. He's a conversation
Of course.
starter. He's the trailblazer of our Discord, and
But then he'll be like, oops, wrong Discord. I mean, I'm happy he's there and creating conversation, but how often are you going in the Discords in totally, you got to click a different button and then a different channel and then type a message and then you're like, oh, whoops.
Whoopsies.
Wild ride. Figure it out, nerd.
Video games or what's going on?
I'm really trying to avoid it, honestly. Let's talk about the Game Awards. The Game Awards nominations came out, was that yesterday?
2 days
I think
ago?
whatever, this week. And I like how I asked you and you answered me earnestly, and I dismissed it completely.
Whatever, man.
Yeah. We've got all the different nominations. I barely have glanced at them, if I'm being real with you. But let's go ahead and talk about them. Dave, kick us off. What are you most surprised about? Or, yeah, what are you most surprised about making the list or not making the list?
I don't know if there were any major surprises for me. I guess Nintendo had a pretty big year, and Donkey Kong Bonanza getting on Game of the Year. I guess you could only have one of that or Mario Kart. But yeah, I mean, there was nothing crazy. I think we all kind of assumed that Expedition 33 was going to be very well represented at the Game Awards, and it got 12 nominations, so including 3 in one category for best performance. But yeah, I mean, nothing really surprised me there. I guess, when it comes to the Game Awards, I really look forward to the Game Awards every year. Not so much because I care about the awards, but it's just a fun way to kind of reflect on the year of gaming. I usually buy a couple craft beers and play video games while I'm watching the Game Awards, and then I have you guys on Discord and all that kind of stuff. So it's just kind of a fun night to look forward to, and it's become kind of like a mini summer games fest because we get a shit ton of announcements, and I think that's what I usually look forward to and end up coming away pretty disappointed. But yeah, it's just a fun night at the end of the year. I guess, the significance that this year has, in my opinion, is, again, I don't really care who wins, but seeing how well Expedition 33 has done throughout the year and it getting its due sort of celebration at the Game Awards. If you set the over under at 6.5 awards, I think I'll take the over there. They're going to win a lot, but it sets really good precedence. And again, I don't think winning Game of the Year or a lot of Game Awards necessarily translates to commercial success. Maybe it helps sell you a few more copies in the new year, but I think it sets a really good precedence when it comes to showing the rest of the industry that we still want new IP. We still want creativity in games, and, take risks because they do well. If you put the care into it and create a truly sort of generation defining game like Expedition 33 is going to be remembered as, like, we still want those things as gamers. So I hope it does well. and it kind of caps off a strong year for new IP and experimental kind of stuff like Expedition 33 was. So yeah, but in any case, I'm looking forward to watching.
It's funny. I know this wasn't your main point, but you're talking about new IP, and of course, we always talk about wanting new IP. But I'm just like looking at the categories. You got Game of the Year, Best Art Direction, Best Audio Design, Best Game Direction. Just from those, I'm going to look at them. Claire Obscure, Expedition 33, new IP, and then I've got to go the whole way down. If I go the whole way down to those things I mentioned, the next one is in their Best Game Direction, and it's Split Fiction. And it's like, what are we doing, guys? Hey, industry. Like, I know that just making a sequel sells well. At least it's a semi-sure thing, but we want more of this.
Right.
We want more of these new things.
I just, sorry, I have one more point to add, which is completely on the flip side of what I just said. The one category where I'm genuinely interested to see who wins in terms of this is a really competitive category is best multiplayer.
Yeah.
I have no idea who's going to win that, and I haven't played any of the games, but just kind of knowing what was big this year. That's a really competitive category. It's got like Arc Raiders and Battlefield and a couple others, but it's that's going to be an interesting one to see who comes away with that. Again, I don't care, and I don't think it makes a difference, but I think most of the times I can look at the categories and be like, that's going to win, that's going to win. That one, I genuinely have no idea who's going to come away. But
I think it'll be Arc Raiders just because it's one that's the most recent. Two, it's doing really well and a lot of people playing it. But I feel badly for things like Elden Ring, Night Rain, which you've got the From Software army who's going to want to support that game. But, it was more Elden Ring. Peak, which for a while was all the rage, it's buried. Sorry, too niche. Split Fiction, sorry, came out too long ago. It's really, in my opinion, down between Battlefield 6 and Arc Raiders, but Battlefield 6 probably going to win something else, So, I don't know. I know that these awards are supposed to be fair and balanced, but I think there's sometimes a little bit of diplomacy, like, oh, if they got this one, this other game's got to get that one. So we'll see, though. I'm a little bit cynical, if you couldn't tell. Not about I love the Game Awards. I'm with you there, Dave. I've been to them multiple times. Brandon and I watched them together last year. I think it's a cool, awesome thing, but I'm also like, okay, we get it. Brandon, any big surprises or snubs or anything like that you that caught your eye?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm a little bit surprised that Yote didn't get nominated in the Game of the Year category. I've not played the game, and
That's why you're surprised.
Well, I'm also not looking at some of the other things, not saying that, sequels of things that were before are never as good as the first things, but I figured with some of the other things that are standing in that category, not to take away from them, but that it would be nominated. So I guess I was kind of surprised about that. I'd love to see Arc Raiders getting its flowers here. I think this might, best multiplayer, it might be the only thing that it's nominated in.
Is it?
Let me look.
I think you're right.
Arc. Yeah, it looks like it's the only thing that it's nominated in, which is kind of sad to me. I think that it could have easily been nominated for best audio design. The way the audio works in that game is truly integral and such an immersive thing, unlike any other game that I've ever played before, and is something that has so much intention behind it to every single moment you're playing the game. So I'm kind of surprised it didn't get nominated for that.
Conspiracy theory time. Well, it's not really conspiracy theory. My bet is that game did not win Best Audio because of the AI controversy. I would bet money on it.
We won't talk about AI because
I'm not saying I agree with that. Yeah, I'm saying, yeah.
We beat a dead horse with AI, and I think, I don't know if you guys talked about it last week or we talked about it a couple weeks ago. The use of AI in that game, the whole thing people are up in arms about is really stupid and not actually the problem with AI. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I would be just as happy to see something like Battlefield 6 get it, but I was surprised that we didn't see something in the audio design category for Arc Raiders. But I'm calling it now. Expedition 33. I'm with Dave and I'm assuming Ben as well. I think it will completely sweep the show. I think that we're gonna see that team on stage a lot here in the coming months whenever the awards start flying. But um, yeah, I don't really think anything else kind of stood out to me that didn't kind of make sense. I don't think anything else was omitted that I really thought should have been there. I'm glad to see a couple of the things I saw here, like Ball Pit. I'm glad it's on there. I saw something about what did we talk about last night, Ben? It was what's that Vampire Survivors 3D one? Megabonk. I saw some controversy where Megabonk like withdrew because supposedly it's not their first game and they were
Yeah,
nominated
I wanted
for
to get to that. Well, let's just go ahead and pick it up now.
best first game. Go ahead.
Yeah, the best debut indie or best debut studio or something like that. What is it? Best debut
It's
This
debut
is
indie
debut
game.
indie game.
debut indie game. I think there's a lot of things in the Game Awards that don't fulfill the spirit of the name of the award. Debut indie game is supposed to be just best first game from a new studio, but I think this one is specifically interesting because Megabonk, there are like tons and tons of theories. If you browse the internet depths for as long as I do, you'll eventually come across it that there's a big like, where did this game come from? Who is this person that made it? I think people have kind of concluded that it is a specific YouTuber who's worked on games before as well. But they actually came forward yesterday and said we've actually asked to have our nomination withdrawn because this isn't my first game, and I feel like it would be unfair to say that. Now, granted, it's I assume a new studio unless they just did a pseudonym or something. So it probably would still qualify as like a debut indie game from that studio or that developer. But I do respect the hey, I don't actually qualify, pull me out of this category of this, because I think that's like very honorable. But also like, if I had to guess, and it is this YouTuber that everybody tends to think it is, when they've had such amazing like videos and support and everything else in the past and social presence, when they decide they finally want to reveal, hey, I made a game as an unknown developer and here were the results, that is going to blow up and probably make them more money than they would make from the attention that getting a Game Awards win would get them. So, but either way, again, I'm the cynical guy. I think it's cool that they were like publicly said, "Hey, I'm withdrawing," because previous to that, they hadn't said anything about who they were. People were just figuring it out, and or at least people think they figured it out. So I think that's cool. Chat has been just steadily clipping along here. Let me roll through and make sure we didn't have any misses. Best debut indie when it's not indie. I'm assuming you're talking about Expedition 33 because that is on that list. But you could also be talking about something else. I don't know. I'll get to that in a minute. I wanted to say Radic is not here. Or Radic is here. Twisted Metal Season 2 got snubbed for Best Adaptation. I have not watched Twisted Metal Season 2. I really enjoyed the first season. It was just good, dumb fun. But you're right. I did notice that immediately that Twisted Metal Season 2 wasn't on there. I can't comment one way or another if it got snubbed or if it just wasn't good because I haven't seen it. But it's getting a Season 3, I saw today announced. So by all accounts, it was at least decent. It made money, I guess I should say. Dave the Diver all over again. Okay, so they were talking about Expedition 33. I want to talk about that for just a minute, and we're getting into more philosophical game discussion than we are actual Game Awards discussion. But we need, as an industry, to come together and figure out what is an indie? Because it seems like the definitions are all over the place. And I know, as well as many people...
Isn't it cut and dry? I mean, isn't it just one thing?
Well, but we call like indie has become more of a genre than an actual game. And then you could also say like I literally work for a company where indie is almost the entire name of the company. Like we exclusively deal in indie games, and the way we define it is like a game that is made by a team with maybe they have resources from the outside, but they're not owned by like a megacorp essentially. I heard someone, I think our friend Elder Dave described it as small team, small scope, small budget. So then you get money involved too. So I don't really know. I just wanted to state for the record that it'd be nice if we came to a conclusion about like definitions, like what is an asymmetric multiplayer game, what is a Metroidvania, like, and have specific definitions that we can all just agree on, and in that, indie should be part of it.
Yeah, I think it's so hard because there's things that always bend those rules purposefully to be new, and so then you don't know what category to put them in. I don't think it really matters that much, but indie means independent. Should it ever have meant anything else other than that? Probably not, but it does now.
We had the same thing with music a few years ago. Remember when it went from like the indie was like game music that wasn't signed, and then indie became a genre. And I think that's the argument that was made with Dave the Diver last year, which again, I don't know that I agree or disagree with. I probably more lean on the side of disagreeing with that take, but
I have a really hard time with the cut and dry definition. I think for me it's a case by case basis. Like Team Cherry, I think they were an indie when they put out Hollow Knight. When they put out Silk Song, I guess they're technically still independent, but the resources that that studio had compared to Lilymo, it's not the same thing. So I really think you have to look at it on a case by case basis. And
yeah.
we spent time at trade shows, and you walk around and you talk to actual independent developers who are people working outside of full-time jobs to try and put out their passion project, and that to me is more in the spirit of indie, I guess. But
Yeah.
this argument seems to come up every year during the Game Awards. I don't know if Dave the Diver started it, but I do take issue with people withholding certain things to appear as indie, because I think there is a bump there sometimes with the industry. But
yeah, I think so too. I think ultimately, like, I'm willing to let that definition be loose until we've decided as an industry we're going to classify things as a certain way, which again, like Brandon was saying, I don't think we need to, but it is sometimes frustrating when you're like, oh, well, what's the name of that game? Expedition 33 is not indie, but CD Projekt is. It's like, okay, they have a publisher that helps out with distributing, whereas CD Projekt is giant and all the money in the world. They have, plenty of resources. So it gets a little murky. I think all in all, you just have to kind of like let it go. Now, I do think Dave the Diver was a big difference because it was made by a team that was owned by a publisher. That's a big difference. Anyway, I digress. Boys, anything else here? I mean, there's nothing, like you guys said, too crazy or outstanding. Anything on that came up on this list and you were like, oh yeah, I should play that still?
I mean, a lot of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's the best games of the year. If I've not played it, I probably should be. So, I will say I'm not very excited to watch the Game Awards. I will. But I feel like they've become so bloated and uninteresting in recent years. I guess that's never not been the case to some extent, but I feel like it's gotten worse. So we'll see. It just always seems too long and just too much of an ad. I guess the whole thing's an ad, but in recent years, I feel like they've really kicked it up exceptionally with the ad stuff. But
yeah, I don't disagree. It doesn't bother me personally, but I understand how it could, because I understand that, and I think you understand this too. It's just annoying, but it's a business and they got to make money to do it. So I get it. And I've also watched like non-gaming award shows in the last couple of years, a couple of them here and there. And I'm like, this is just an ad. And I've watched, sporting events. Well, this is just an ad. So I don't know what isn't an ad if you want to be able to have a huge production and pay people lots of money. So Dave, what about you? Anything crazy outstanding?
No, I think one game that's kind of buried down in like the accessibility category, not to disparage that category, but is Atomfall, and that was a game that, again, if you come out earlier in the year, then unfortunately I think you're just at a disadvantage when it comes to the Game Awards. But I think that's one of the games that came out earlier this year that I would have liked to have seen get a little bit more recognition, but is pretty high on my list of games I missed out this year that I really want to play next year. So
yeah, it's interesting because that award is obviously very important to many people, but I may have played game. I can't really, in good conscience, vote in that category because I don't often use accessibility features as they mean it for this category, right? Like, I'm fortunate enough that I don't have a need for them, but there may be games that I played this year that had the best accessibility features in the entire world, but I would have never known about them because I don't go in and explore that typically unless I'm looking for a specific thing. So I think that's an interesting one. Obviously, it's great that it exists because they are catering to a specific, need in the community. But I agree when you say buried, I know what you mean because I'm not looking at the accessibility awards because I'm not going to vote on it because I don't have a vested interest.
Probably the dumbest category, but I'm also curious, is most anticipated game. I hate this one, but does The Witcher 4 have any chance to win this over Grand Theft Auto 6? Or is
Nothing's
this
winning
just a
it.
formality this year?
It's just Grand Theft Auto, dude. It's like when didn't Faker, the like esports guy, win best esports guy, best esports player for like many years in a row or something. Now, to be fair, he's like one of the best players of any esport in the world. But some of these categories are the ones they just brush over, where it's not even on the stage, it's like on the side, and that's what those are. Is where they just kind of skip over them. They're awards and they get something, but it's something that kind of just comes and goes in the show. So.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and a lot of these awards get announced before the show even starts on like a side stage, and Sydney's there, and it's like whenever Weird Al won his first Grammy after being around for 40 years, and they did it before the show, and I was angry because I don't care about the Grammys at all, but I care about Weird Al. I wanted Weird Al to get some television recognition, but nope. They did my boy dirty. Ash says Sydney's there. Sydney Sweeney hosting. No, not Sydney Sweeney.
Sydney Sweeney. That would be absolutely insane.
I mean, maybe this year. Who knows?
You never know.
You never know what Geoff's got up his sleeve.
I guess, but he has Sydney Sweeney up his sleeve. I don't know how she fit.
Has my silence deterred you from me? All right, let's move on.
Oh, tough crowd.
Radix says Glenn Powell is a likely host for the Game Awards. Interesting.
I doubt it.
I like it when you have celebrities come out and you can tell, is this person a fan of video games or are they here because they got paid to be?
Yeah,
I like when you
can
can tell.
Yeah, they're a fan of money.
I mean, people who are a fan of video games are also fans of money. I get it. Don't get me wrong, but
Matthew McConaughey last year, you could tell he's not a huge fan of video games.
Yeah.
Stick to the Texas Tech Longhorns thing, not Texas Tech. But he was still entertaining. He's just got a charisma about him that I like seeing him on stage.
Right.
Didn't care about his game, but yeah.
Right. I'm sure he cared about it in a sense of, I hope this thing I did does well, but not about, did this move the industry kind of thing.
Yeah.
As long as they don't, who was it? Was it Robert De Niro or?
It was Al Pacino.
Al Pacino.
They were just talking about it in chat, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Al Pacino.
He's like, what's the show called? Yeah. Okay. Rock, Paper, Shotgun says, people are playing fewer video games and new releases are struggling, says Ubisoft UK, warning of falling revenues. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on with Ubisoft right now. I don't even want to get into it all. But this article says, Ubisoft's UK publishing arm have filed a strategic report for the year ending March 2025 in which they warn that they expect yearly revenue to fall in the current fiscal year, ending March 2026. They attribute this partly to the slumping sales of physical copies of games, and more broadly to the fact that people are fixating on a fistful of mega popular games at the expense of all others. with subscription and streaming services like Microsoft's Game Pass making us all feel less inclined to buy individual new games. The traditional full game model is selling a single 50 to 60 pound game to a consumer as a one-time purchase continues to become less ubiquitous, with multi-game subscription services, long-running games as a service titles, free-to-play games, and cloud streaming offers all providing new and attractive ways for consumers to access gaming content. Consumers are playing fewer games, playing them for longer, and as a result, outside of a few notable exceptions, many new games are struggling to stand out and achieve the sales they may have once had. I agree with this, but I also vehemently disagree. I agree with it in the sense of, like, as far as what the traditional media covers or that you see on billboards or something, there are a lot of games out there and only a few of them are making it, or at least making any critical success. But we talk every week on this show about video games no one has ever heard of outside of our little bubble, and they are making millions and millions and millions of dollars for 1 and 2 developer teams a lot of times. So I wanted to know what you guys thought about this. Is this just Ubisoft setting up their shareholders for potential lack of numbers? Is there a real problem here? And how do you guys feel about, are there too many games that other games can't do well? Dave, we'll go to you first since we went to Brandon first last time.
Yeah, I agree with what this article is saying. I think you're right that this is really kind of setting the expectations for the shareholders, or won't someone please think of the shareholders? But they're right. Like, I just think the goal of, video games these days isn't to sell as many copies as day one on possible and have people finish your game and then buy your next game. It's to get people to buy your game and stay in your ecosystem as long as possible to promote in-game purchases. Like, that's just the model now. It's not the only model. And the interesting thing about this coming from Ubisoft is, I think, especially when you look at their core IP, like, they're kind of the outliers. Like, they're still selling lots of Assassin's Creed games, and Far Cry, even though the last one was not well received, sold really well. So did Far Cry 4 and 5. So it's interesting to see that they're the ones who are kind of saying this, because I think from an industry perspective, a lot of their core IP is still the outliers. Yes, they have the Frontiers of Pandora, which didn't do well, and Star Wars Outlaws didn't do well. But aside from that, I think, their core franchise is just still doing well. But they're right. Like, the days of going to Walmart or Best Buy with your mom or dad a couple times a year and picking out a game off the shelf, like, that's just not the thing. Like, you just play Fortnite, or you just play Minecraft, or you just play Call of Duty. Like, that's just kind of how a lot of these experiences are modeled, and it's counterintuitive to buying multiple games a year for the average gamer. And when, you're the game that maybe you didn't pay anything for on day one, it was free to play, is constantly evolving and constantly giving new things to do. I think the idea there is that you don't go and buy other games. You stay in this ecosystem, and if you game 3 or 4 hours a week, then the vast majority of that time is spent in one game, in one service. Even calling it a game, I don't think is as accurate anymore. So I think I understand what Ubisoft is kind of trying to communicate in this article, and they're definitely setting expectations for their shareholders. But the question is, how does this and their new partnership with Tencent drive what is doing well for them in the future? So they've communicated a commitment to that core IP, and we've had clues about this, like, Assassin's Creed Infinity thing that they were building several years ago that evidently just kind of went out the window. But what does that mean for the future of their franchises? Because it still looks like they are standing behind, day one AAA experiences that release at full price, and that aren't necessarily on a subscription service. I know there's Ubisoft Plus, but I think their key drivers are still day one sales. So it'll be interesting to see how their strategy kind of changes and evolves. But yeah, I'm on board. I understand what's being said here, and I think I agree with it.
Brandon, excuse me, how do you feel?
I think there's a fundamental misunderstanding from everybody at the highest upper echelon of video games. And it's very quickly become more about how much money can I drain out of the consumer than what sort of meaningful piece of art can I provide. Whenever you have games that are 50 or 60 pounds, 60 or $70 American, as this article says, and you have other games that are crafted with love, Escape from Duckov, uh, Arc Raiders, Helldivers. You have all these other experiences that are providing you such a larger value with so much more talent and so much more meaningful progression and so much more love put into the thing. You could tell the people that make these things actually care about them. And that's where these big companies are failing, right? Because not only do they charge more for a inferior product, but they really just seem to have lost sight as to what consumers really want. People are buying yes games. People are buying less games, yes, but I think it's mostly because, times are hard. There's no denying that, but the consumer is also way more informed. And when you have things that are at a smaller price point that are of higher quality, why would I buy Call of Duty? Why would I buy another $70 bloated Assassin's Creed open world that has very little heart? You know what I mean? And so that's what I think is the huge disconnect between these big companies is they keep pushing the same slop every year and they lose the core of what made it great in the first place. And they focus instead on good storytelling, fair mechanics, replayability, art direction, sound design. Instead of worrying about the things that actually make games good, they desperately flail at how they can suck as much money as they possibly can out of the consumer, whether that be with the initial price tag or with ongoing things going forward, instead of actually putting the time and effort. People will buy when you put out a good product. That's just how it goes. It doesn't matter if people are buying less. If you put out a product that's worth buying, even if you're nobody, people will buy it. And that's why when you said, Ben, not all the time, Ben, right? And
I agreed with everything you said
good
up
is
until that point.
subjective.
Yeah.
Good is subjective, right?
Yeah. Well,
But
yeah.
good is subjective.
Good is subjective, but I think there are some amazing video games that never see the light of day because they don't have the right exposure.
That's
But
fair.
everything else you're saying,
But the point of
yes.
the argument
Yes.
is that when you lose sight of what people actually want to spend money on, that's the problem. Not that people don't want to buy games, because people are buying games, even if
Yeah.
it's less. People will spend money on your game if it's worth spending.
Yeah. Basically, what you're saying is the money-hungry corporations are sucking the life out of great games.
Dude,
Yeah.
they're killing every IP that you love. Look at all of the big IPs over the past 10 years and how much life has been sucked out of them. How many good IPs from 10, 20 years ago still are making good games? Very few. I can maybe count on a couple hands.
Yeah.
And I know that's the way business works, but at the end of the day, when the people that make the games and or call the shots don't realize that in order to make money, you have to make a product that people relate with. You have to make a product that people enjoy, not a product that people can pump money into, and they don't seem to understand that.
Yeah. I'm very much a capitalist, and I think if you want to make money, you should make money. But the whole, like, if I find out your game has a monetization consultant / person whose like whole job it is to figure out dark patterns that can make people really want to buy games and only play your game, I'm a little less likely to like pump you up. Am I going to play the game? There's a good chance because I like live service games and a lot of them have that kind of thing. But like the idea of like, we no longer just want to give a satisfying, and I'm not saying this is everybody out there, but we no longer want to just give a satisfying narrative game to someone. We want to keep them in here for their entire lives. The drastic shift has definitely changed the landscape of games. And with that being said, I think that landscape shift has enabled some people to continue to stay in business and provide money for everybody to live a lot longer than they would have otherwise. So like it's a net positive most likely, but the impact it has on future generations is interesting. The one of the creators of Path of Exile, Chris Wilson, put out a video a couple days ago about dark patterns. I would encourage everybody to go over and check it out. It's really good. It's a lot of stuff we already, especially the people who are here and listening to the show, know. but like it's just really interesting to hear them talk about all that stuff, the dark patterns in gaming, and how a lot of them are internally. People are talking about how they're specifically being targeted towards children. Um,
Well,
it makes
Epic
me,
yeah, the Epic got sued for that like a while
yeah.
back.
I don't have a problem with Fortnite as far as like it being a game. I think it's a phenomenal shooter. I think it's a really great game, but it does make me a little sad that my son, who has beaten more Mario games than I have ever played, and everything, is like also addicted to Fortnite. So like it tears a little bit of the life out of me for that. Anyway, feel bad for AAAs because they're not selling as much and making as much money. Let me just browse at the chat. I'm a Breakpoint apologist after they fixed the game, but they took a long time to do that. I don't know anything about Breakpoint, so I'll take your word for it.
It was awful.
Yeah. Ed Walton also says, do we really need a yearly COD? We don't need it, but we will buy it. Except for this next story we're going to talk about. Ash says, I think we'll be seeing the yearly Battlefield. I don't know about that. Battlefield has never been yearly or anywhere close to it. And even though they are a mega corporation making that game, putting that game out, and also employing dark patterns and also money hungry, I feel like they get that they shouldn't try it every year. But hey, maybe they'll prove me wrong. Dave, you gave me a look there.
It's the foreshadowing for our fourth story is that's what makes this quite interesting. But
Twisted Voxel says Call of Duty Black Ops 7 barely enters Steam's top 10 as it falls below Battlefield 6 and Arc Raiders. According to Steam's most played top 10 list, the launch of Black Ops 7 barely managed to bring the Call of Duty app back into the Steam most played top 10 list, ranking well below recently released premium titles like Arc Raiders and Battlefield 6. The game's availability on Game Pass may have played some role in its lower than expected performance, but it's worth taking into account that the release of Call of Duty Black Ops 6 drove much higher numbers last year on Valve's digital platform, despite it also being available day one on Microsoft's game subscription service, which was significantly cheaper back then than it is today. I will interject here too, and we'll talk about this in depth, but do the new Game Pass tiers all include Call of Duty, or is it only the top tier?
I think it's just the top one.
So you have less people likely playing on Game Pass and on Steam. Following the launch of Black Ops 7, the current peak concurrent player count for the Call of Duty app on Steam is 86,652. It's expected to go higher during the weekend. This was before the weekend. The Call of Duty app managed to reach a much higher peak of around 306,000 concurrent players after the launch of Black Ops 6. I will also note, we were talking about this the other night, that 86,000-ish, or 83,000-ish, is including anything that is launchable from the Call of Duty app, I am relatively sure. That number is Call of Duty, not Black Ops 7. So that includes people who might still be playing Black Ops 6 or any other game that is launchable from that.
Or Warzone.
I think
that's anything back to like Cold War, isn't it?
No. So
they broke some of them out.
They started taking them off.
Oh.
I think right now it's the previous year Warzone and the current game.
Got it.
Is to my knowledge how it's been going. So
I think you're right. I think it does include Warzone.
Yeah. And
Brandon,
as of 2 days ago, it reached 100,000.
Yeah.
To this I say good riddance. This is 3 different softwares combined into one storefront that they've barely managed to pull 100K players from. And to that I say good. This Black Ops 6 DLC packaged as a $60 or $70 game is not good. Not good in any ways. I don't have any desire to play it. I think that we've talked for a long time about how Call of Duty has kind of shit the bed in recent years, let's say that. And they kind of had something to prove with Battlefield 6 coming out. I think they didn't have enough time to kind of course correct. I'm assuming they'll do a lot more course correction for next year. But they keep making the same mistakes year after year. And turning off SBMM or turning down SBMM, changing the visual representations of the game to look more grounded and less like wacky Fortnite Beavis and Butthead. It's not enough, and it's not going to be enough. And I kind of predicted that this year's would fail in some way, and I'm glad that it did. I think this company needs to be knocked down a peg. I think they've been riding a high since 2020 with Warzone, and they've done nothing but spiral at everything that will make them money and not any sort of semblance of quality or what the people want. This kind of ties back to what I was saying earlier. Another tone-deaf company that is much more concerned with engagement bait matchmaking and collabs than actually making a quality product that people want to play.
Davey, how you feeling?
Yeah. I, I agree, and but I am going to give Activision a little bit of credit because I suspect that this is by design. I have a theory that Black Ops 6 and 7 were developed concurrently as one package to keep development costs down and then released over 2 years. And I think Activision saw Battlefield coming sooner than we think and kind of seeded 2025. And I think they've seen kind of a downward trajectory, as you alluded to, Brandon, over the past 5 years. And I don't know if a refresh is a fair kind of term to use, but I think what we're going to see in 2026 is going to be Activision putting their effort back into the product. The problem is I don't know if they saw Grand Theft Auto coming because it was supposed to be in May and now it's gone to November, and that is a nebulous like black hole of a release. And if Activision is putting all of their chips into 2026 Call of Duty, then that's a problem. But in any case, I'm seeing all this stuff about this stupid single player game, and that's really well publicized because I think people want to see Call of Duty fail. But at the end of the day, I feel like for a while now the plan was to kind of phone it in for 2025. They're still going to sell a shitload of copies. Call of Duty is always going to move copies, but I suspect there's something big coming in 2026. But I'm with you, Brandon. I mean, you deserve to kind of have this shit shoveled on you when you treat gamers the way you have. And yeah, but I'm curious to kind of see where we go. Maybe we have another repeat of 2019 where COD's back, baby. The funny thing is Activision saw EA coming with Battlefield. But I wonder if Battlefield saw Arc Raiders coming because that's kind of derailed them in a way. Like, I think Battlefield is still immensely successful and it's going to have a great year, but like Arc Raiders came out of nowhere, and that has really kind of shocked this genre at a pretty crucial time. So yeah, I'll be interested to see what Activision finally shows us in June-ish when we normally show off.
Do you know who's absolutely fuming about Arc Raiders? Bungie. Because their game in the same genre, I can't even imagine how they feel to have something with such commercial success when they literally had such controversy and essentially had to delay indefinitely. I can't imagine how they're feeling from all this.
Ben and I were saying that last week, like the week before Arc Raiders came out, like Bungie was like, all right, guys, we're ready to relaunch this beta. We've made all these improvements. And then Arc Raiders comes out and they're like, fuck. Now what?
Hey, well, Battlefield may have not seen Arc Raiders coming, but I've had it wishlisted for like 2 years. They should have just called me,
True.
Ben could be their consultants and say...
Ben knew about them before they were cool.
I mean, that is true. I was on a podcast last night talking about Arc Raiders, and I said I've had this game wishlisted since they put it up, which is the gaming version of I Like This Band Before It Was Cool. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what goes on with Call of Duty. Somebody in chat said that they think maybe the devs would also like to work on something that isn't Call of Duty. Look, I think Call of Duty will always be with us and it has a place, and by and large it's still one of the best multiplayer shooters that you can play. Is it old? Is it stale because we've all played it so much and they've gotten a little entrenched in their habits? Absolutely. No doubt about it. Is the monetization wild? Yes, for sure. Is there some slop in there? You betcha. But like when you play Call of Duty, you're still having a good time by and large. And I'll talk actually a little bit about Black Ops 7 when we talk about what we've been playing, because I did play a few hours of it. But I agree, the business practice of let's churn this game out, let's do the FOMO, let's get everybody, you know, hooked on the game and try to make the numbers as big as possible and not give the last game any time to breathe and shit out a subpar campaign. Like, what's going on, man? Just
They've been doing it for years.
I know they've been
years now.
So Brandon, it's really interesting because I was very big on Call of Duty a long time ago, as were many people. And then I went through a few years of hating Call of Duty. And it wasn't until I became friends with you about 10 years ago that I was like, I'm going to get back on the Call of Duty train, because you were very into Call of Duty. And I loved it. And I loved it for years. And I still really do like Call of Duty. There's very little that just beats hanging out with like 8 of your buddies in a Discord call, running around mindlessly shooting guys on multiplayer maps. Like, there's not a lot of other experiences where you can get that many people in a lobby with that kind of action and stuff. Yeah. So there is a place for Call of Duty, and there always will be. And there always will be, like, I will always look at Call of Duty as a whole fondly.
Yeah.
But they got to change something up drastically to really make me want to get back in. And again, if I hadn't played Call of Duty in 5 years and I picked up Black Ops 7, I'd probably be like, oh, nice. Pretty great.
Yeah.
But it's the fatigue, I think, is what it is.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you need the people who have the fatigue, because that means they've been playing your game every year, and they're the ones who are going to continue playing it as long as it's great.
Yeah, I'm kind of over it.
I know.
After thousands of hours and 10 years, I'm done.
Dave, you want to take this next one, or do you want to skip it, or do you want to? It's up to you.
No, I mean, we can just kind of gloss over it, but I think
go for it.
I literally just saw it before the show started, and I think it's interesting. So EA to skip F1 26 and pivot to a full reboot in 2027. In a significant shift for the racing game landscape, Electronic Arts, the big evil company, and its studio Codemasters have announced that the next standalone title in the F1 franchise will not launch in 2026. Instead, their current release, F1 25, will receive a paid expansion covering the full 2026 FIA Formula One Championship, including new cars, teams, drivers, and regulations. It goes on to a little bit more detail. Why this is important: this move marks a rare pause in the yearly racing game treadmill and potentially signals bigger changes coming across the genre. By postponing the next full entry, EA is investing more time in delivering deeper features, broader appeal, and longer support, which could raise the standard for future titles. This comes from digitaltrends.com. So yeah, I mean, we've talked about this, for a long time, where everybody hates the yearly releases of especially sports titles, and why can't they just, release a patch and, give you a new full game? And the answer is inevitably, because they make money every year. So I thought this was interesting because F1 has never been bigger than it is as a sport outside of Europe. And by all accounts, F1 25 was the best-selling F1 game in a long time. So it's not like they're shutting this down because the franchise needs a reboot, but it's just it's a very odd move for a company that doesn't normally do this sort of thing. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to throw it out there, and I think it had some relevance in some of the other stuff we talked about. So I don't know, does this potentially show that maybe EA is trying to inject a little bit more quality into their franchises, especially when it comes to the sports. I really can't see them doing this with the soccer because, again, it sells gangbusters every single year. But it's just an odd move. Brandon, what do you think?
I think that they can probably get away with it, and it might be a nice sort of experimental in between right now. I agree with you. I think unless numbers dip on sports games, they really have no reason to, but they never will because that's not the nature of why people buy those games. Um, I think they have a little bit more leeway, and I think this is how all these games should work. I really wish they would build upon a platform and just maybe release like a $20 expansion every year. I think that would be way more consumer friendly. But if they're not incentivized and people keep buying it, then there's no reason for them to do that if they can get 60 or 70 out of you every year. So I think this is kind of cool. I'm glad to see that, EA at least more recently has been seeming like it kind of maybe is starting to understand why it's had such a hard time with some of its franchises and maybe trying to make right on it. I don't know how long that sort of thing will last. Usually with these companies, the goodwill is usually disguised, and their true intentions end up showing their face. But who knows? I mean, this is definitely an interesting story, though, and I hope that really it's something that's good for the consumer in the end. I hope it does push the F1 racing games further than they would have been without this yearly release being pushed.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with F1, with especially the games, to be honest. But I do think it's a good move overall. Of course, here comes cynical Ben. I just wonder what the other motive is that they're not stating. Was there a problem with development? Did they not have enough content? Whatever. It seems to me like a racing game, like in football. Sorry, you may have a similar team. Same with football. You may American football. You may have a similar team year to year, but like some players change, their stats change. There's different things you can do. I feel like with F1, that's not as much the case. Like typically, you have the same cars, the same drivers for a number of years. And you don't have like stats and all those kinds of changes constantly. Again, I don't really know what I'm talking about with this game, so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. But part of me is like, they went to the drawing board. They're like, all right, what do we change? And everybody was like, there's nothing new. So either way, I think it's great for the game. If I were someone who bought this game and I was really enjoying it, and I could just buy a DLC pack and not have to buy a brand new game, that'd be awesome. We've all been talking about, the whole industry has been talking about for years of, I wish, Madden would just put out Madden and then put out a $10 or $20 player pack, or, to update the next year game, do that for 5 years and really work on the next entry and make it totally different. Like, I'm not really much of I'm very much a buy one of those every 5 years and see how it goes kind of thing. Or, oh, wow, this one really changed things. Let me pick that up. But I'm not a yearly buyer of those. And I still wouldn't be a yearly buyer of them, but if they gave me a new pack or something like that was a minimal cost to purchase, then maybe they would have a buyer in me that would jump in on some DLC every now and then, because I like those games. I like sports games in general. I like racing games a lot, but I don't like them enough to buy them every year. And it would incentivize me otherwise. Dave, you're pretty into F1, aren't you? Or you at least like it?
And it's interesting because when I think about what could change year to year from a sports title, I think there's more in F1 compared to the other sports that could justify a new title every year. Because like drivers do change teams, new drivers come in, there's new regulations every year. There's new car kind of configurations that come in. So, and like tracks have different races of different sprints. So I think there's more that could justify a new game every year, but I do like that they're going this route, because I think it's like I've always been interested in this series, but always just stuck with Gran Turismo. And the reason I've been interested is because I like F1 and I want to drive the tracks. And this incentivizes me to go out and actually buy the game because I know it's going to be kept live for an extra year. With an extra $20 next summer, but
that's what they said about Call of Duty a couple of years ago, and then they bait and switched us.
Yeah, a different evil company, of course.
Yeah. Last news story here. I saw this one a few days ago. I thought it was pretty interesting. Dave threw it in the doc. This is from Yahoo News via the Patriot Ledger, and it says you can trade in anything for store credit at GameStop on this day. Well, almost anything. The video game retailer will be exchanging store credit for almost any object a customer brings. I don't know where I got consumer. A customer brings in on December 6, 2025, a press statement from a company spokesperson said, "This means send your jackalopes photo of that ant you don't like Little League trophy over to your local GameStop for credit this holiday season. At GameStop, you can usually only trade in video games, video game consoles, or different types of gaming hardware. This broadening of exactly what you can trade for store credit is definitely new. Here's the deal. On Saturday, December 6th, GameStop will have its first ever Trade Anything Day where people can trade in anything they want with some restrictions for store credit. The object customers choose to trade in must fit in a 20 by 20 by 20 box, and customers can trade up to one item. GameStop has not stated how the value of items traded in will be determined, but said it will issue a guidance soon. And it will, they said what can be traded. According to the spokesperson, the only restrictions include hazardous waste or material, chemicals, liquids, lithium-ion batteries, weapons, dead or alive animals. Although taxidermied items are valid for trade. Alcohol, tobacco, drugs, or pharmaceuticals, computers, computer peripherals intended for a computer weighing less than 100 pounds, fax machines, document scanners, printers, 3D printers, label printers, digital picture frames. The list goes on of some of the restrictions. So, but like, there's nothing that says you can't take in, like, I don't think there's like a rock. Can you take a rock in? I don't know. It doesn't
If
say
it
you
fits in a
can't.
20 by 20 by 20 box, maybe.
Yeah.
Um,
I think I did see something about this that the limit would be $5 or maybe it's the minimum would be $5. But this is a genius marketing plan, if you guys ask me.
It's a desperate
is
one.
it?
Well-
Is it though? See, because how this reads to me, Ben, is that GameStop wants every minimum wage employee that they have to quit on one day.
Yeah.
So that way they could just close the doors, because you're gonna have every asshole. It's gonna turn into a pawn shop for
Yeah.
one day. They didn't sign up for this, man. This is cruel. I feel bad for every GameStop employee, because it doesn't matter if you listed not to bring a dead animal. It doesn't matter if you listed not to bring sexually explicit items. People don't listen to that. They saw on Facebook that Jim said it was a trade anything day at GameStop, and they want Madden 06 for their Xbox 360.
Right.
And so they're going to bring in their pet parakeet. I don't know, man. Like, this is ridiculous. It is very funny. It is very funny.
Yeah.
I want to be clear. It's very funny. But also, I just feel so genuinely bad. Every time I go into GameStop, the employees are so miserable to begin with. I cannot imagine. Maybe it's like a requirement, like when you sign up to work at GameStop, it's like, are you often miserable? You're hired.
Right.
Maybe it's just our GameStop. I don't know. Everyone just seems so pissed.
No, I've been to a lot of GameStops. It's most of them.
Yeah, they're just so miserable, you know? Being a nerd is
Ash in
hard.
chat says, I'm going to sell my missus for 20 pounds and see what they got on offer. I don't know if that's a good idea.
Can she
Human
fit in a
trafficking
20
has
by
entered the chat.
Could she fit in a 20 by 20 by 20 box?
Yeah. Derek said, saw a video. An employee said management advised them to wear masks and gloves and to call police if it gets out of hand.
That's what I'm saying. Is
Yeah.
this is like kamikaze. Okay, this is maybe the downfall. Maybe this is how a company creatively loses all of its value in one day and then blames it on something.
I mean, yes, there is a lot of hazard for employees here. It sucks for them. But if I'm somebody who doesn't frequently go to GameStop, or I'm a kid who doesn't have anything they want to trade in, and I can take in anything, an old G.I. Joe or whatever, and they've put this $5 minimum in place, what is there in GameStop I'm getting for $5? It generates, everybody's like, I got a $5 coupon. I got to buy it from GameStop now. So I do think they'll see some sort of financial success from this. Plus, it's on Yahoo News. Why? So I think it is a marketing smart thing. Whether it's a practically smart thing or a safe thing for their employees, I don't know.
I wonder what landfill GameStop has rented out. What couple mile strip of landfill that all of these 20 by 20 boxes are going to be sitting in.
They're definitely going to be bringing in like full house size dumpsters.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they don't actually want to resell any of the stuff they're getting on trade-in this day. They're just getting people in the door, and hopefully they buy something. And if they don't buy it that day, hopefully they come back and bring their gift certificate and buy it. Davey, what are you trading in?
I don't know, man. GameStop's downfall has been one of the most weirdest, uncomfortable, and also entertaining things. You know, you go back to like the meme stock thing and how frustrating it is to go into a GameStop or EB Games these days. Like I used to love going into EB Games, and now it's just like they've crammed the stores so full of shit, and I can never move around and see the thing I want to see. So I want to take this opportunity to remind the two of you and all of the listeners to please pop into your local game store, mom and pop, and just hang out. You know, that is like a true experience when it comes to shopping for games, and everything in there is cheap. Not everything, but you know, the good stuff is cheap, and it's just fun to hang out. And it kind of like reminds me of what it used to feel like going to a GameStop with not enough money and just kind of look at the stuff that I wanted to buy. And we're so far from that. But you know, I feel like more and more like game stores are popping up, like independent game stores, and that makes me happy. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is funny, but it's also sad, but also pop into your local independent game store and hang out for a bit.
Yeah.
There's good times to be had.
Sure. Boys, we've gone a little long in the show, and that's okay because we had plenty of good conversation. But I want to kind of clip through the what we've been playing section pretty briskly. But Dave, why don't you kick us off here?
Yeah, I'll talk about my first two, and I'll leave the third one till next week because I haven't played that much. But
Cool.
yeah, so I've been plugging away at more Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. I finally beat the stupid fucking Spider Guardian enemy, and I guess I'm in the part of the game where they just wanted to make like Samus Super Monkey Ball because, you know, the ball thing is fun for a bit, but like not too much, please. I hope Retro is listening, and you know you still got some time before Metroid Prime 4. Please don't give us too much Morph Ball because it's a mechanic that overstays its welcome. But
Take out the morph ball mechanic.
yeah, so yeah, I'm doing the other thing that bugs me about this is I'm using a guide quite a bit. Like I look at videos and try to see how to get stuff done in this game because I want to finish it before Metroid Prime 4. And I watch these videos, and Metroid Prime 2 it's like a Zelda game where, you know, if you do enough exploration you get more health. And I'm watching these guides videos, and everybody has like 10 health bars, and I'm sitting here with like 2. And again, they're completionist videos and stuff, but it doesn't fill me with a whole lot of confidence. So but I'm moving my way through it. The other thing I've been playing more of is Deep Rock Galactic Survivor. Brandon, have you heard about this game? Have you seen this? Deep Rock Galactic Survivor.
Is this like a Vampire Survivor ripoff, or?
No, it's better than that.
Oh, okay.
You know, it was made for Carl, but it released on mobile last week, and I got it, and I bought it. I bought the deluxe edition for 20 loonies, and
You get the physical copy of it.
Sorry, I wish.
The physical copy for your mobile device.
Physical
I'd
mobile
pay
games? Could you
hundreds
imagine?
of dollars just for a Deep Rock Galactic Survivor box.
It's a SIM card.
Yeah.
You become Russian property.
Yeah, I can't put this game down. It needs some improvements, but it still is just perfect for mobile. I've been playing it with my game, sir, and it's just again, you only really use the sticks, but even that is just a perfect game to play on your phone. So I'm having a lot of fun with it, and this is actually the first time I played Survivor since it went into 1.0, and they've added a lot to the game. There's a whole gear system now. There's rarity loot drops that come in different runs, and yeah, it's like they've added a lot of really cool stuff to the game. So can't say enough about Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, whether you're looking at it on PC or mobile, but yeah, please try it out because it's a lot of fun.
Cool. Thanks, Dave. Brandon, we've both been playing a lot of Arc Raiders this week, but you've been playing a lot more than me even.
Yeah,
Ever since your computer was fixed from being blown up.
I've been playing a lot.
Yeah.
I have 91 hours now in 3 weeks. So I've had a lot of days off in this 3 weeks.
But you did have like 4 days where your computer didn't work.
Yes,
So,
excellent. Yes. When you have weekdays off and your friends have normal jobs, you are home a lot during the day when nobody's doing anything. And why not raid? This game's great. I've already talked about it a bunch. I love it. Fantastic. New maps, great. Challenges are great. I have no complaints. Even recently, they made some changes and had some community feedback about the bundles being too much, and they lowered the price of the bundles, refunded everybody that bought it with the credits directly to their account, and have been continuing to listen. I can't stop playing the game. I fear I have a sickness, and the only thing that can quench it is sitting in Speranza.
But then you wouldn't really. I mean, you wouldn't be really playing if you're just sitting in Speranza.
I get ready to play when I'm
Okay, that's fair.
I have to do that first, Ben.
Yeah. Much the same for me. I don't really have anything monumental to add, but Arc Raiders, it continues to be great. They're continuing to support it, having new updates and everything. And the best part is that all my friends are still playing it. Well, not all my friends. Dave's not playing it, but all my friends who were playing it are still playing it. And most of the time, I feel like about the time I get into a game, a lot of my friends are done with it, or they only play for a few days after launch. But this one has been consistent, and that's a big one for me. We talked about Call of Duty in general a little bit earlier. I have been playing Call of Duty Black Ops 7, provided by Activision. They sent over a code, and I've probably only played like 5 or 6 hours, and exclusively multiplayer at this point. What I will say is that if you like Call of Duty multiplayer in general, it's a pretty good multiplayer. I'm getting too old to be good at Call of Duty, and that's what I'm going to attribute it to, is my oldness and not my lack of gaming abilities. But people who have just continually played Call of Duty forever are better than me. And also little children who mock me after they blast me in the face with a shotgun and then teabag my body are also better than me. So that doesn't help things very much. The reality is, though, there's not a lot that's different here. If you played Call of Duty Black Ops 6, you have played, in my opinion, the better version of Call of Duty Black Ops 7. Because it is a very similar game, except Call of Duty Black Ops 7 tries to be much more futuristic, or is more futuristic, even down to the sound that the hit markers make, which is, I am pretty much immediately went into the settings and changed it back to the default setting, because I don't like it. I played a couple hours of this with our buddy Dustin, and he and I did have a good time because we were playing Call of Duty together and just having a good time. But I can't really recommend it to you unless you're yearning for a new Call of Duty game that is very similar to last year's, because there's not a lot different. Now, what I will say, I hear that the zombies mode is pretty fun. I haven't checked it out myself. And from all accounts, I was talking about this with Dustin as well, all accounts, the multiplayer game, or the single-player portion of the game, people are disliking it, but they're disliking it because it's weird. And I like weird. I like games that kind of go off the beaten path and something a little different. I don't need it to necessarily... I want them to experiment and do stuff that's different, because they've done the same thing for so long. So that part wouldn't get a knock from me, but again, I haven't played it yet, so I can't really comment too much. But I just wanted to voice my opinion that I think that's cool. So overall, Black Ops 7, it's Call of Duty. And it's Call of Duty Black Ops again. And if that's okay with you, then you should check it out. And if it's not, don't expect anything different, because that's exactly what it is. Call of Duty is, I'm sorry, it's just solid. Like, it's always going to be, well, not always, I can't say that, but it has been solid. But if the stuff that bothered you about the last game still bothers you in your head, then don't play this one, because it's very much the same. So sorry I don't have too much to say about it. I haven't had a ton of time into it. And honestly, I don't know how much time more time I will put into it. But it's Call of Duty, man. You're always going to have something to love and something to hate. The other game is called Leaf Blower Company. This is a game made by some Irish developers who were inspired mostly by Power Wash Simulator. So as soon as I saw that, your boy had to check it out. You manage a leaf blower company. And unlike in Power Wash Simulator, you're just trying to clean things up. So you start out in a little garage, or actually you just stay in a little garage, and you go to different places, and you have a leaf blower, and you get rid of leaves. There's also some other levels where like you're blowing boxes around, or like giant chess pieces in a park and stuff like that, that add a little bit of difference to the gameplay. But basically, you can go through and you can get you have to blow the leaves into piles. You get different accessories that can help you sort them. You get like some temporary walls you can put up to funnel the leaves into a certain area. You have to take the trash bags full of leaves and throw them in the dumpster type thing. There are crows around you have to scare away, and there are mushrooms you have to burn, and then you have to pull weeds or burn weeds. So like there's lots of different gameplay elements here that are really fun. I think I do have a specific type of sickness that is attracted to doing menial tasks in a video game, and whatever that specific sickness is will probably continue to cause me problems in the future. But
I think it's called autism.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, but I didn't think a self-diagnosis would be as impactful as it coming from someone else.
But I don't know though. That's just what I was thinking when you said it, like just like that. That's what made me think that.
With all that said, like I do really like it. Like I'm having a good time with it. The way that the leaves blow when you use the leaf blower is like very satisfying. But
Yeah.
I will say that like if you're comparing it to the inspiration, which is Power Wash Sim, there are a few things about it that are a little bit clunkier, and it's one of those weird things where like, it's like nothing's game breaking, nothing's so buggy that it doesn't work. Occasionally a leaf gets stuck under the map, but they have a fix button for that. I can't really describe exactly what it is, but it's all over just a tad less polished and a little bit more clunky. Now, with that said, I don't have any idea of this people's budget or their team size, and maybe that could be part of it. But I don't know. If you're into Power Wash Sim and things like it, then definitely check out Leaf Blower Company. I think it's like $12 or something, 12 or $15 on Steam. Not very much at all, and it's totally worth. I think the campaign portion of it is like 10-ish hours. So if you know that you're already into those types of games, then you will probably enjoy it. The one thing about the game I didn't enjoy, there's a level where there's snow and you still have to get rid of all the leaves, and you blow the leaves and they move just like they do in the regular world, or like without in the non-snow levels, but the snow stays there. That was a little weird to me. I understand like it adds a little bit of difficulty in that you're trying to find leaves that you can't see easily. I didn't like that though.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. But otherwise, I think Leaf Blower Company is it's really good.
Top notch. Yeah.
I just
If 8-year-old me could see me now listening to my buddy talk about a game about leaf blowing and me being intrigued, he would slap the shit out of me. That was my least favorite chore growing up.
If 8-year-old me knew that I was really into games where you perform menial tasks like water park simulator or power washing or leaf blowing, he'd be really confused, and also would think it was cool because those kinds of games didn't exist at all. But yeah, I don't know what it is that draws me to them. Like the music in this game is phenomenal. It's like, the Lo-Fi Girl that's on YouTube. It's like that the whole time. So just kick back, think about nothing at all if you can help it.
Very nice.
Pretty good.
Very nice.
Pretty good. Check it out. And that's it for the show. A little bit of a chunker tonight. But that's okay. We all need a little chunker in our life every now and then.
It's good mouthfeel in that show, though.
Good mouthfeel.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, the chunk is real.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. Do all the things we said earlier. Hang out in the Discord. Join us on Patreon. Tip your waitresses. We'll see you next week.